honestly, my opinion is I don't like the idea. I think you should be able to have a permit to do that just because it's a safety regulation, in my opinion. But I don't know really how I feel about it. I think it's a bad idea. That's just my opinion.
Do you think businesses should be able to say whether or not they allow guns or any kind of firearm to come into their place of business?
I actually do think they should do that. Each place should have some sort of rule regulation against it. If they don't, because of the law that's out, then I guess so be it. Like I said, I don't really know much about the subject, but don't agree with it at all.
I personally think it's kind of scary. I mean, I don't know. Guns are just a very powerful thing, and I don't think it should be taken lightly. I think businesses should have the right, absolutely, to say that they don't want guns in their establishment, and especially, I don't know, any kind of business where there might be children around or, I don't know, other vulnerable people.
Yeah. What do you think about like restaurants, like people being able to conceal carry in restaurants?
If it were up to me, I wish that it wouldn't be allowed. It's such a small space, it's usually cramped, and I don't know, people are just volatile and don't necessarily have the training that they need to make the right decisions, so I don't like the idea of it.
I don't think that it's a solution of the problem, because of course the real solution is to build up a peaceful culture and environment, and that's the only thing where we should aim to. That's what I feel about that.
Do you think businesses should be allowed to say whether or not they will?
I think it's overreacting.
Yeah.
A restaurant or a business. I mean, police should handle this.
I do believe a permit should be required, but as for concealed carry, I'm a proponent for it.
Right. How do you feel about businesses allowing weapons into their place of business?
I believe private business owners should have the right to choose. As far as walking into a school or maybe a church building, that I believe those should still be gun-free zones.
Right. What kinds of businesses, if any, do you think should be allowed to keep it up to their own discretion?
I believe any business should be able to choose. I believe that you should be able to carry into gas stations and grocery stores, because I believe that people should have the right to bear arms.
I think it's a good thing. You know, there's a lot of crime out here now and a lot of bad things happening, and you know, people should be able to protect themselves without having to use a permit.
Do you think that businesses, it should be left up to their discretion whether or not they allow?
Yeah, now that businesses, churches, public places, it should be left up to the authoritative figures that run those places, whether or not they would allow concealed weapons in.
I think it's wrong, and the reason why I say I think it's wrong is because I don't think people are getting proper trained. There's so many people dying today over guns, and so many people getting drunk carrying guns. On a hot dog stand, some guy got beat up, and he had a gun on him. I didn't even know he had the gun on him. We put right up here at my hot dog stand. I'm just trying to sell hot dogs, and he was mad because somebody beat him up, and he pulled out like a 9. And when I heard the gun law coming into effect, I just felt it was the wrong thing. There's so many young kids that's not really properly trained to hold the gun or realize the impact of what it's gonna entail at the end of the day. At 52 years old, lived in New York City, I've seen a number of gunplay, and it's just the wrong way to go about, you know, putting guns in young kids' hands or young women's hands or anything like that. It's just wrong. It's wrong.
Right. And how do you feel about people being able to walk into businesses carrying a firearm without a permit?
Well, I definitely think that's definitely out of the case. You got young kids going to college here. Like, who wants to get news from a sad mommy or a sad father coming home that their daughter just got her head blown or his head blown out because some guy with a gun with a permit, you know, decides to come inside a bar and get angry and then decide to just shoot somebody. It's just wrong. It's really wrong. It's wrong.
Do you think it should be left up to the business's discretion whether or not they'll allow a firearm into their business?
I do think it should be allowed up to the business so that they don't get sued. They should be smart enough to know that someone coming into their establishment with a gun, is also coming into an establishment that sells alcohol. So who's to say that this guy's not going to pick up some alcohol and get a little intoxicated, get a little angry, and decides, let me take somebody's life today. I just think that they should pat them down. I think they should have the alarms and make sure that they have the medical detectors going on before you allow anybody to come into your establishment with a gun. You have to be aware that this is a serious issue. You have to be.